John Boyega has played a stormtrooper, a member of the Resistance, and now, in Pacific Rim Uprising, a Jaeger pilot, but what he really wants to play is a spastic Titan in a live-action Attack on Titan movie, based on the wildly popular anime. Some familiar faces return, including those of Charlie Day and Vern Gorman as eccentric scientists, one of whose eccentricities have grown pronouncedly more extreme. The new movie is set 10 years after the original. He's determined not to follow in his father's footsteps, until a brush with the law lands him back in the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps. This seemingly safe life is shattered with the discovery of a rogue murderous Jaeger that is controlled by an alien brain. Set 10 years after the events depicted in Del Toro's film, Boyega is Jake Pentecost, the orphaned son of Idris Elba's planet-saving stacker Pentecost. But while Uprising is certainly preposterous, it's incredibly colorful, and I never felt like it was speaking down to its audience or trying to be anything but itself. Because it is wrestlers versus robots, and how can you not be excited by the idea? His 2013 film Pacific Rim was a bloated variation of the Japanese staple about towering dinosaur-like aliens attacking Earth and the huge dual-piloted robots, called Jaegers, humans created to fight them. Enter Kaiju, assume battle formations, kill off a lead character from Del Toro's film, and if you don't know the rest of the story already, then this probably isn't the movie for you. But they skipped the chapter on continuity. How else to explain a trip to a frozen island in Russian Federation that literally goes nowhere? Pacific Rim Uprising hits theaters almost 5 years after Pacific Rim, and is tasked with continuing on from a movie that had plenty of dedicated fans, but also a great deal of those who wanted something else from Del Toro's film. This is something that we took a risk on. As mentioned above, there is a great role model for young girls, who gets relegated to a smaller role for much of the film. It's not unlike recent sequels to Independence Day and Transformers in that it's willing to examine what the world looks like after the apocalyptic destruction of a typical blockbuster, but director Steve S. Deknight is by turns less bombastic and less cornball than his old guard competition. To quote some examples, there is the case of someone close to the lead character getting a tragic demise and in the process bring the hero out in him. I wasn't exactly counting the days for its release. And did I mention about the unexplained romantic subplot involving Adria Arjona's character that should have been left on the editing table? The two things: when I came on, I sent Legendary a 5-page, Steve Deknight's manifesto of Pacific Rim. Two of the most important things were I thought the movie should be 2 hours or under, and it had to be fun. I guess that's the not-quite drift-compatible problem at the center of the Pacific Rim movies. The humans inside the giant suits are what make it more palatable, but the movies are pretty bad at giving those humans anything interesting to do. Now there's a sequel, and without Del Toro's touch, it's basically gibberish. One sequence featuring a seemingly endless horde of Ripper robots feels like game over for Jake and company, but they wind up somehow lessening the odds for the pilots. Even the finale, featuring a do-or-die gambit on the summit of Mount Fuji, feels convenient, especially when a minor side character is suddenly elevated to being the most competent character in the entire film. His protagonist makes a tad more memorable impact than what Charlie Hunnam did in the first movie. Pacific Rim Uprising also looks really bad. A mistake Boyega, thankfully, doesn't make here. It was surprising to see how much goes into the development of a movie of this scale.